Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mother Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. Classically, people love to say what they will and won't be like when they're parents. Broad, sweeping statements. I'll never let my kid watch TV, eat sugar, play a high-contact sport, have a cell phone, be on social media, etc., etc. Then you meet your kid, and you grow with your kid, and you realize that parenting isn't about constantly keeping your kids from things or trying to cultivate a well-rounded Renaissance person by the age of 5. It's about helping them to learn how to navigate the world around them, just as they are. This week's guest is doing just that. Jeannie Roshar is a director and a mom of 2 and the producer-director brain behind the popular TikTok, Instagram, YouTube series that is Maisie Facts, Maisie being her daughter. From directing umpteen episodes of Blippi and Life Hacks for Kids, to giving direction to some of our favorite stars like Idris Elba, Henry Cavill, Sarah Jessica Parker, and so many more, she's navigating her most dynamic cast yet, her family. Jeannie is a reminder that just because you become a parent doesn't mean you have to stop being yourself. And maybe, in celebrating who you are, you're setting an example for your kids to do the same. Welcome to the closet.
Thank you. It's a lovely closet.
Yeah.
It's got daylight.
I think it's good that we're doing this early today because it's going to be 5,000 degrees.
Yeah, it already is warm.
How long have you lived in the Valley for?
I've lived in the Valley since 2011.
Okay, so we moved here a couple of years ago from New York, so this is
Yeah.
all new, the really hot part.
And it could be way hotter. I mean, you go out to your Woodland Hills or something, you're going up 10 degrees. We're lucky.
Really? That much of a difference?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm happy that we're here. I'm happy we're not that deep into the Valley then.
Yeah.
But I like to be a Valley girl. I think I'm into it.
I like it. I bounced all over LA for years. And so that's why I say I would return to the Valley. And my husband was very reluctant.
Right, because it's kind of like in New York, you have this thing where maybe you start in the city and then you're like, okay, I'm ready for Brooklyn. Well, now Brooklyn's cool, so people kind of start there. And then there's that question where you're like, am I going to move to the suburbs? Am I going to do it? And then I said I would rather move to LA than the New York suburbs. So here we are.
I say that once you have kids, you just start the slow roll over the hill down to the valley. But we have so much more space.
So much more
yard.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're obviously not gonna like tell people where we live exactly, but we do need to talk about the Halloween house for my own benefit.
Yeah.
And like the 3 other people who will understand what that means. So I want to start with your trajectory and then we'll insert where kids show up and partner shows up and all of this stuff.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So were you like a theater kid growing up?
Yes. And I was a theater major, much to my parents' dismay. And I grew up in Wisconsin. I grew up in the Milwaukee area. And I don't know, I feel like our kids growing up in LA are so celebrated for being creative or a little weird or off the, but it wasn't so, I didn't feel that in
Milwaukee.
Wisconsin. I felt pretty much always like I was weird. So after college, came out to be with the other weirdos, and then all of a sudden I was just one of many. And I started as an actor.
I could see that.
And
you have like these, you obviously can't see guys, but she has these like piercing blue eyes that,
Thank you.
I mean, I could see them reading on a screen.
I started, an actor and a stand-up comic, and I did a lot of improv. So that's...
You were like a cool comedy kid.
Yes, but not, really not cool back in the day. But let's say that now. Let's say that.
But yeah, now we kind of romanticize like the UCB, the Upright
Right.
Citizens Brigade, all that, Second City. Now everyone talks about like the good old days of doing that. But then it was just people finding each other who had this shared interest, right?
Yes, who are all a little bit nerdy and dorky.
It's worked out well.
Yeah, I mean, like, go nerds. We're a family of nerds. So did that for years and had to do so many terrible jobs at the same time to survive.
Like what? Like, are we talking stereotypical? Like, are we a barista? Are we cleaning toilets? What are we doing?
Let's see. I was an assistant to numerous people, and it's pretty much always
That's a
terrible.
schlock job.
Yeah. I handed out yogurt at LA Fitness gyms to people that didn't want it.
That's niche. Yogurt hander-outer.
Yes, at the gym. And they're like, this is full of sugar. I just worked out. I'm like, I can't go home until all the yogurt is gone. Please take some.
Take the fucking yogurt.
And then I worked a night shift at the Commerce Casino, managing the staff of people who did table massage for poker players, which sounds like a madam,
Yeah, that's dark.
It was my darkest. Definitely my darkest days. Like, for the rest of my life, I'll be like, yes, but you're not working a night shift at the Commerce Casino. Like,
managing the massage. Like, you weren't even managing, like, the dealers.
No, I was just there to get yelled at and handle problems and all, in the night. But I was like, it'll be great. I can go to auditions. It wasn't great. So many, many odd jobs. And then I decided to write a movie for myself to be in.
Wonderful.
Because no one else was putting me in a movie. And I wrote it and it got optioned right away. And I was like, oh, writing is easy. I should have just been a writer. And the movie never got made. So
We're familiar with that.
Yes. Very big contract that felt very exciting. And then it never got made, was in development forever. And which has happened about 5 times. So lots of scripts sitting on the digital shelf. And they're not even on the shelf.
How painful is that when you write? Like, are these projects where you're like, I'm pouring my heart and my soul and I need to see this? Or is this like, I am trying to write something that will get sold to make money?
I've done both. And every time when you're in it, you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. And they're going to be so excited when they read this. And and a lot of times they were. Like, I had many scripts optioned. It's just getting over that hurdle to get them made was, I don't know. It's very hard.
We're very familiar with that in
Yeah.
this household. My husband's a writer.
Yeah. So there's so many of us who have written so many good things. And then you're just at the whim of whatever happened at that company, what's happening with the industry. What someone else comes out with something that's slightly similar, but not similar enough that we just are confident we can remake it and also make money, but
Right.
but similar enough that like we're gonna just decide that's a reason not to do it. So
Heartbreaking.
yes.
And then when did the transition to your interest in directing start?
So ironically to this podcast, while I was pregnant with my first daughter, Joya, I have a longtime comedy partner and one of my very, very best friends, Gary Anthony Williams, and we've worked.
The actor.
Yes.
Yes.
And so he's my writing partner.
Oh, cool.
And we've been working together for years and years and years since we moved out here, and we're in an improv group together called Big Funny Sandwich. And ever since then, we've, always worked together in some regard. So I was pregnant. He had just done this comedy music video with these other people, and it was really funny. And I said, we got to use this pregnancy for something other than just growing a baby.
Sure.
So we made a raunchy rap video called Bun in the Oven and got, it was supposed to be 5 other pregnant women to get in underwear and dance and rap with me. But one went into labor early, so she wouldn't even. I'm like, can't you just come for like an hour?
We don't even care if your water breaks on the floor. We've got a mop.
And she said, no. And
I'm pretty uncomfortable.
Yes, it was 5 of us, which was plenty in the end. And so we did this video, this comedy music video. Gary and I directed it together. I was in it. Gary was in it as well. We wrote it together.
Was he also pregnant?
Pregnant with thoughts and dreams. And it did really well. It was, viral, whatever. My mother was terribly offended by it and embarrassed.
That's how you know you did a good job.
Right? And that is the video that got me my first professional directing job, which was directing for Disney Channel, which makes no sense.
I was just about to say, talk about a non sequitur.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you're a mom.
It made I feel like that video should have kept me from directing for the Disney Channel. So it didn't make sense, but I was there for it. It was exciting. So Gary and I got hired to create a bunch of stuff for Disney Channel, and we did some music videos over there, and we did like 4 or 5 projects over there. And then eventually we were doing some stuff for DreamWorks TV. We created a series back in 2015-ish for YouTube. And it was a very big hit at the time. It was for...
Is this Life Hacks for Kids?
Life Hacks for Kids. And so somehow I morphed into doing content that I would want my kids to watch.
And this is just this wasn't like, sometimes you hear stories, especially of women who become parents and then they have this revelatory moment, like, Jennifer Garner in Once Upon a Farm, or,
right,
Jessica Alba and Honest. Like, you have these companies that are sort of born out of motherhood.
Right.
For you, it kind of sounds like it happened accidentally.
It did. It really just kind of happened. But once I was there, I went, well, yeah, the kids, they want to watch YouTube all the time. I want it to be something at least I can feel good about putting into the world. And I did. I felt really good about it.
And how old was Joya?
Joya would have been, that could be simple math. 6?
6.
Yeah.
So she was kind of like really your audience.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, and once in a while she even appeared in a few when we needed a reaction of a kid to something. So yeah, that was a breakthrough at the time. Like we were kind of the first ones doing that kind of show on YouTube. So it was very successful. Now there's tons of it, but became really successful. I learned a really good lesson about maintaining some of the rights for yourself.
Yeah.
Some of the profit sharing. Don't just sign everything away because you never know what's going to be successful. That would not have been mine and Gary's idea that I would have picked to go, this is the one that's going to
go gangbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did. 5 years worth. It became a show. It became a full-length show on Universal Kids, which is NBC Universal's Kids Network, which I think is not here anymore.
I was about to say, it's kind of hard to keep up with what's alive and not anymore.
But, at the time, and it became a book, it became all these things, but very little profits for Gary and I.
I have 2 questions. So one, how do you decide that you're best served by creating with like a partner? Like my husband, he's a solo dude, but I know that there are a lot of writing and creative teams. How did you guys, you knew you were friends, but how did you decide like, oh, we need to be a professional team?
We wrote a short film together. He had an idea based on his own life for a short film that we did in 2006, a long time ago. And so that was the first time we just tried to do something together, and it just really worked.
Is it like a yin and a yang thing? Like
yes.
One of you is bringing some kind of juice and somebody else is bringing something else?
Yes, and I don't think it would work with a lot of people. Yeah. But it works with him.
So he's like your work husband.
Yes. In fact, people have thought he was my husband online when we appear places together. But he is our uncle, Uncle Gary.
Funkle?
Such a funkle. And I've known him longer than I've known my husband. So
let's get to your husband. So let's rewind a little bit. When does he enter the picture? How do you meet?
We met in an improv group.
Amazing.
That I was also in with Gary. So Ryan joined this improv group and we hit it off. And
You're all just rolling on the floor, like making sounds together.
bah! Playing a little space work and sound ball. Yeah, real dorky. And we hit it off. And Ryan wasn't even pursuing it professionally. He just enjoyed it, which was a good kind of match because the business is so up and down.
Yeah.
Having that more stable income on the one side was helpful for a lot of years.
And what type of profession is he in?
He had a business that's made windows and doors.
Very not funny.
Very opposite. Yeah, you don't want your windows to be funny.
Yeah, that's something you need pretty precise, pretty serious stuff.
Very serious and just there.
So, how old were you guys when you met?
20s. 20s, yeah.
And did you both know that you always wanted to have a family and have kids?
Yeah, we did. That was always in the plan, but then you just go in your mind like, well, when is the right time?
Yeah.
When's the right time? When can I take this break? Because for the man, it doesn't really
Matter.
have to take the break. Doesn't have to give their body. Doesn't have to give their everything for this year plus. So what happened, Gary, Ryan, and I created this shorts film festival back then, a comedy shorts film festival. It's called LA Comedy Shorts. And it also did really well at the time. There was nothing else like it at the time. And we did put on this first big festival. We were sponsored by Funny or Die. It was a big success. And the festival ended, and it was kind of like when you end a play or you end a project and you're depressed. You're like, now what? And I literally was like, we might as well just have a kid because I was so busy and then I had nothing. And then I got pregnant immediately. So even before I had time to go, oh, wait, too late, pregnant. So there we go.
Wonderful. And so Joya is how old now?
She is 14.
And Maisie is
10.
10. Okay. And so you're raising these kids while you are doing the sort of gig to gig lifestyle.
Right.
And you have, I imagine, periods where there's not a whole lot going on. And then you have periods where you're working like 18-hour days. Is that right? Is that the kind of cadence?
Exactly. And I also, after Maisie was born, I really started traveling. I got these directing jobs for a company that was called Omaze.
Yeah. Is this all the like you and hanging out with celebs?
Yes. Traveling the world, shooting videos with Ryan Gosling, Chris Pratt, Idris Elba.
Sounds terrible.
It was just terrible. It was amazing. But it was stressful because literally I would get a call like on a Tuesday, could you go to France on Friday? And when you have a baby and another child but I would just say yes. I'd be like, yeah, sure, I totally can. And then I would hang up the phone and be like, oh my God, fuck. How am I going to France? And luckily, many of the times my mother-in-law was nearby and could like step in.
I was just going to ask, what does the support system look like that kind of enables you to be able to do that?
It was that and a nanny combination. And honestly, like, if I'm to be honest, I don't think my husband really even had to notice because all the women stepped in.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been better for him while I was gone because I think his mom's better about feeding him than I am.
Yeah.
So,
because I was going to ask, like, how was he through this period? Like, excited for you, stressed out, resentful?
I gotta say,
confused.
He was excited. He was supportive, but also I covered everything.
You managed it.
I made sure he was covered. I typed out the schedule. I made sure everyone knew what they were responsible for. I packed things. I laid out outfits. That was part of my workflow.
Yeah.
To go work.
Right. That was just like another thing you had to do on your prep list.
Yep. And luckily, like, those jobs are mainly like 5 days I'd be gone or something,
Right.
Looking back now, some of my like TV shows that were in development that maybe would have gone out of town and filmed for 4 or 5 months, that never happened. And looking back, it was probably definitely for the best.
Yeah.
It would have been very hard for me.
I was going to ask you, how was your heart going away?
It was like I could do it. And the night before, I'd always get a lot of anxiety, like deciding that my plane was probably going to crash.
Sure.
And then the rest of their lives, their story would be my mom died because she
left me for work.
Her work was more important than me. And then I would get there and I'd be in the zone and working and loving it. And I'd be great. And then the day I was coming home on the plane again, I would just be so anxious to get home and see it. And I made a little routine once that, they were old enough that I FaceTime them when I get to the hotel room and I show them what's out my hotel room window. Yeah. And that just became like our thing.
Yeah, they were like looking forward to it. Like, what's mom going to show us this time?
So we would show them what was out my window. I would FaceTime them every day. And it was okay. It was okay. But not easy, but okay.
Yeah. And did you have in that time, beyond a supportive husband, voices in your sort of world that were saying to you, like, you need to go fucking do this, like, you need to do this for you? Or was it, I felt like when I was figuring out my work cadence after my son was born, I actually had a lot of people being like, you know what, it's okay to slow down right now. And that's kind of antithetical to who I am as a person.
Right.
So it was actually terrible advice.
Right.
What were the prevailing voices in your world saying, like, go do it?
Yes. So in my head, and my husband would recognize, he's like, you're happiest when you have work.
This is what my husband says too.
Right. So when I was, and I don't want to say just doing mothering, because there's no just to that. If that's what you want to do as a total, like my sister takes care of her 4 kids. She homeschools her 4 kids. Actually, one's going to high school now. But like,
that is her profession.
That's her profession, and she's so good at it. Like, and there's no shade. But for someone who does want this other thing also, when you're killing that part for a while, like, how are you not going to feel depressed? Yes. It's just, that's where you're, I don't know, changing your 8th diaper or like listening to screaming, and you're like, this is my life now. Yeah. This is what I do. This is it. And that didn't make me happy.
I put all of those bricks in the wall to build something.
Yep. And now it's just for nothing.
And now what?
And I know when I go work and I have that balance, and balance is very hard, but when it's there, I'm a better mom.
100%.
Because I'm happy.
Yeah.
And there were people in my life, maybe of the older generation, who gave comments to the effect of that they thought I would be, quote unquote, done with all this, like once I became a mom.
Right.
And they assumed that I would feel so fulfilled as a mom I wouldn't want it anymore.
Right.
But they were wrong.
Correct.
And so that adds guilt. That definitely added guilt, like I wasn't being a good mom.
Totally.
And that wasn't cool, because that was what was right for their generation, but
totally.
Or them, just them individually.
Yeah. Or honestly, I think sometimes it's what wasn't right for them, but they're like still angry that that's what they were forced into.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? They're still all these years later trying to like bring other people down with them in the trenches.
Right. Or like convince themselves. And by the way,
tell themselves a story that this is what we do.
And if that's what you wanted and you did it and it made you happy, 0%.
100%
wrong with that. That's great, but also too wanting, like we tell our girls, like, you can be whatever you want, you can do all this, and then we're starting that trajectory, and then we're not helping them later on.
Totally. And also helping the men in their lives.
Yep.
And in our lives to support that.
Who probably grew up most likely in the era where the mother did everything in the home.
Correct.
So this is their modeling.
Yeah. So it's very confusing because I talk about this. People are going to be so sick of me talking about this. But men's expectation is, I just need to do better than my dad did.
Right. Like,
and our expectation is 50-50. And it's like that math is not mathing.
That's really, really true. And like, for example, my father-in-law, I said he never changed a diaper ever.
Right.
So you change a few diapers, you're like, look,
You're
how much
like, I'm
better
a king of the
doing.
fucking world. I do a load of laundry a month and I am a god. Somebody rub my
Yes.
feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we do want 50-50. That's, you know,
Which is not possible, by the way. Like, I don't think that's a
possible.
realistic paradigm to put out there. And like, you know, if you have that in your house, mazel tov, I'm happy for you. Great. But
you would be the first one I met.
yeah. Yeah. And like, it's just more saying like, let's both strive to do a share that is reasonable.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like.
And I've come to different thoughts over time and what is possible and what's not possible.
Yeah.
And how to get more help. But you're never going to get all the help you want.
Right. And there's some stuff where it's just like, you know, we're super lucky. We just got an au pair for the first time and she's incredible and we're still adjusting to this new normal. But I've been really firm with my husband, like, unless there's an express reason, like we have an event or we're going on a date, we are putting our kids to bed.
Yeah.
And I am waking up with my kids every day and I am making their breakfast and I am spending the time with them before they go on to their days with them.
Yeah.
Because while we have this help, and this is something I can give, I am not giving it up. Like, I am not trying to defer my parenting entirely to someone else. I'm just getting the help we need.
But let me ask a question. Would he be okay deferring it?
Yes.
That's what I feel across very rare exception. Do I see? I think that is something inside of us. I do.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I've read different articles where the baby's DNA stays in our brain forever. I don't know. Like, I think men and women are equal, but I think for the most part, exceptions to everything, but there are differences in how we tend to be hardwired. And if we ignore that, we're just causing ourselves unnecessary additional angst.
Yes. He is such a creative. He really holds on to like special moments with our kids. Like, he would never in a million years have somebody else walk his kids around the neighborhood on Halloween, for instance.
Right.
He would never in a million years like let somebody else give them their first taste of ice cream. He lives in moments. So there are certain things where he feels really strongly like, in my child's core memory, I want to be the one whose face is there in that memory. But the day-to-day, if it's like, oh, this is a hard slog today, I would love to tap somebody else in. And it's like, I would honestly rather just put both kids to bed myself than have somebody else do it.
Right.
Like, you can tap out if that's what you need, but also I'm not tapping out.
Which I think, like...
And that's fine. I'm not mad at him for that. But, like, I know what my boundaries are.
How old are your kids now?
11 months and almost 4.
So with the almost 4, I don't know if you've experienced this, but with both my daughters, we went through the, like, mommy is not my favorite around that age. Around the 2 to 4, my older daughter actually told me, my favorite is Grammy, then Daddy, then you.
We love a hierarchy. It's so savage.
And she made it very clear. And I'm like holding the steering wheel of the car, like, but I really, and by the way, I think even my husband would agree right now at their ages now, it's me. It's all me. Like, I'm the one that they look to. They love him, but like, they need me in a much more emotional way. And I figured out, because back then, like, everything I was doing with them was like brushing their teeth, brushing their hair, making sure they got their bath. Like, it was all the unfun day-to-day stuff. And my husband too loved to like sweep in and like, let's build magnetiles by the fire. Let's do, like, he had all these fun things that maybe like I was too tired to do because I'd been doing all these daily tasks.
Yeah. But I think there's something in the building of the foundation early on of the predictability and the safety of the boring tasks.
Yeah.
That then is the investment for where you are now with your kids, it sounds like. Where it's like, okay, mom is safe. Mom make sure that my needs are met.
Mom's not dropping the ball.
Right. And so later when the things that they need become more complicated.
Right. And they do. Oh, they do.
So let's talk about a little bit. There's this like beautiful thing in your career where all of a sudden your motherhood, specifically with your second, starts to merge with your career.
And I did not expect this at all.
So walk us through the journey with Maisie and how you guys created this project together.
Okay, so first of all, just always watch what you say, because when I directed my first directing jobs, directing kids at Disney, I said, and I quote, "I'm never putting my kids in show business. Never. Yeah, it's not good for them." So here we are. So I did not intend, and that is really true, I did not intend to put them into show business ever. Joya just never, I mean, she's amazing. She's a great public speaker, but she was not gravitating towards acting, or, you know, like a lot of kids here you see out, they want to do it. We were in various strikes and pandemics, and work was really slow, and I had been able to get some work directing videos for like Whirlpool, AT&T, big companies, but for Instagram, for TikTok, for Facebook, because that's obviously, like, social media is where you want eyes in advertising now. And I was looking at the whole process and looking at the ad agency and all the people being paid, when really, like, I was writing the spot. I was directing the spot. I'm taking it through post. You could whittle it down much smaller. So my idea was, I'm going to build up social media just so I really learn the ins and outs of it.
Have you ever wondered, wow, I would love for this podcaster to sell me something already? Well, you're in luck. Today I'm selling you on something highly exclusive, highly niche, highly Mutha. Just kidding, we're in the early stages over here, but if you've got a company or a cause you'd like to promote on the pod, get in touch. We're a good time.
I'm going to build a TikTok. I'm going to build an Instagram. And then I'm going to take what I've learned to smaller companies and say, you can just come straight to me. I will create content for you to make money,
Yeah.
And in the process of doing that, I did some videos, craft or crap, some comedy videos, things, and it was building slowly. People liked it, but it was a slow build. And then Maisie, she just entered this phase where all day, every day, it was like, did you know that if you eat a polar bear's liver, you'll die of vitamin A overdose? Did you know this? And Joya and I were laughing so hard, and we just said, what if we filmed her just one day? Every time she says this, we film her.
Amazing.
And so I put together a video of just one day of facts. And I told Joya, I'm like, my audience is going to like this. They like crafts.
Right.
And I put out the video, and pew, it took off. And I was getting on TikTok 10,000 new followers a day.
Wow.
It was just like booming. So we go, okay, let's do more of this.
Yeah.
And then that is how it started. And it really was just the most organic thing, because it's Maisie being Maisie. She's just this kid that is into facts, into science, photographic memory, a kind of kid that probably traditionally would be bullied, but like, thanks to these opportunities, her confidence is being built up for being who she is.
Yeah.
Not like,
knowledge is cool.
The weirdo with the facts, I mean, which there still could be bullying down the road, but I'm doing my best to like build up her self-esteem in this, and people love it. They love some facts.
I love them.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this before, but in Maisie, there's like, I think so many of us who loved knowledge as kids and were like a little nerdier.
Yeah.
And you see this girl owning it, and there's something very addictive about that, because it's sort of like an inner child healing when you see this kid who is owning in front of a camera all of the cool shit that they're learning, and it's like, wow, that was not our reality, and it's wonderful to see.
So many people are like, oh, I wish my mom had listened to me, and I wish people had listened to me, instead of just, they do say that, they're like, this is healing, this feels healing, and so I'm glad for that. And then what I realized is this created an opportunity, and I've been still working in kids content. I've been directing a preschool show called Blippi
Oh, never heard of it.
Yeah, right?
You fucking kidding.
You have children in the Blippi
You know what?
age.
Blippi has, first of all, I'm so sorry to tell you this. My son's never seen it. But Blippi has become such an icon that he knows who he is, even though he's never seen it.
Right.
It doesn't mean he's not watching it.
And by the way, when our mutual friend, Mallory, when she brought me over to do some Blippi, I'd never seen it. Because my kids were not of the right age. He came along after my kids were.
But you've directed like 40 plus episodes or something?
Yeah. So I've done a fair share of Blippi. It's been really fun. We've gone and done some really fun things. Like we went to NASA. We went to NASCAR. We went to Nashville. A lot of things that start with nah. Nah. And so I was over in this universe with them on YouTube, which is amazingly successful, way more successful than Life Hacks for Kids was. And so then once Maisie blew up on social, I thought, well, longevity wise, if we're going to do something with it, it should be a YouTube channel. So we're in the process of building that now, which is its own slow build and a lot more work. And, but I feel like I see more how what this can bring to the world. I want to do series, like influence her. Like, who's your influence her? Like, who are you letting influence you? You know, so many. And look, nothing against beauty influencers. I want anything I buy
that they're trying to sell us.
Yeah, so like anything that's gonna help. But
that's gonna help. You have like perfect porcelain skin.
Oh my god, it's your closet. It's your magical
it
closet.
Must be. There's like, I don't see a pore on your face.
It's the closet. So like, there's nothing wrong with beauty influencers. There's nothing wrong with makeup. But let's just be conscious of all the people that are influencing us and that we're choosing to be influenced by. And so she wants to work at NASA. She wants to go to space. And we're going to be doing some interviews with amazing female role models. So and cool. Just kind of putting it out there, like the thought of be conscious of who you're choosing to let influence you. And it's okay. It's okay to be influenced. It's okay to watch reality TV. All of it is okay. But just be mindful.
Be mindful.
Be demure.
Be cutesy.
Be mindful about who you're being influenced by. At least acknowledge it to yourself.
Yes.
So that's my big goals, and just to be role models for especially girls.
What's it like to work with Maisie? Like, how is it? You know, it sounds like this obviously came about super organically. Yeah. Because this is just who she is, and you're sort of like capturing the Maisie-isms throughout the day. But now that you guys are really doing this as a project, has it changed anything about how the creative process and working together and collaborating together?
I think I've worked with kids so long that part comes very easy. And it's so much fun. Yeah. We're having fun together. And it's at the point it's at now, if she doesn't feel like doing something, we don't do it. Yeah. I make it clear to her, we've been, hired for some sponsored videos. And I say to her, if we agree to do this, we have to do it. Yeah. We have to see it through. The other, that's my only thing. It's like, if we sign a contract, we have to do it. Yeah. So let's decide. And then I think that's just teaching your kid, we need to follow through.
Responsibility. Yeah.
But the rest of it, I said, anytime you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. Yeah. But she loves it. But it's also, it's been a lot of just me and her and Joya. Like, I've kept it, frankly, like, she spends a very little time in front of the camera, and then I do everything else. Sure. And that's good. That's how it should be. Yeah. So far, so good. But
Joya doesn't get FOMO?
She totally does. Okay. She totally does.
I was explaining all, like, this to my husband, and he was like, well, what about the other daughter? Like, is there FOMO? Like
100%. And it's something we still deal with. And it's actually been a great growing experience for her, because she was the first kid, and she's 4 years older. So she's an amazing kid. She's so smart. She was kind of born 40. That's always our joke. So she always was doing amazing things. And then Maisie was just kind of like, honestly, I didn't even know. I thought Joya was my smart kid, and I thought Maisie wasn't going to be so brainy until she taught herself to read at 3. But but like Joya was used to getting all the attention. And so it was an ego hit for her when Maisie was getting all this attention. And I do put Joya in the videos sometimes, but it's intentional that I don't put her in that often because of her age and because of the fact that she has accounts. She's old enough to have accounts and she can read the comments. Maisie does not see the comments. She does not read the comments.
Right.
She doesn't even care about the comments, but we know what the internet is like and we know what people are like, and they say terrible things and you monitor it and you do your best. But I knew at Joya's age and stage,
It would really affect her.
Yeah. And it's so funny because she's actually writing, they have to write a piece for her English class. And we talked about it and I encouraged her that maybe this is something she should write about. And she is. And it's like her teacher's blown away. It's because it's so real and it's so human. And, you know, I tell Joy all the time that she is amazing. And I tell her it's much like Maisie just happens to have this thing about her personality that's very easily packaged into a social media video.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's tough when your sister has 600,000 followers and counting, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I can imagine. And to this point where you said Joya has accounts now.
Yeah.
You are, I think, uniquely placed because of your experience in this whole world to decide how your kids are on the internet and how they, you know, start their own internet lives. So when you were starting that process with Joya, did she come to you and say, like, I want to be on TikTok or Instagram or whatever? How did you have that initial discussion?
She was almost like Lucille Ball in I Love Lucy, like trying to get in Desi's show. She was like trying to creep into the video. And it made me laugh. And also, it wouldn't go great. She'd be very self-conscious at the same time. And we would just laugh. But she made it into a couple of the videos, and I was trying to bring her in, and then she would be instantly like, what did they say about me? Did they say anything about me? I'm like, nope, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
This isn't good for you.
Yeah.
This is not good for you at your age. This is not where I want you to get your validation from. Maisie can do it because she doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like,
she's like, I want to tell the people the facts.
I'm telling you, we had a video 2 weeks ago about the supermoon that went, for whatever reason, like went crazy across the platforms, got like 11 plus
People
million.
love moon content.
They love it. 11 plus million views on just this little video. She goes to school. They ask about her weekend. Like, it was her share day. She didn't tell people that.
Yeah.
Like,
it didn't cross her mind.
Didn't cross her mind. She told them about the moon. That's what she cares about.
Right.
She doesn't. I read her nice comments here and there.
Yeah.
And she loves that. But she does not, she never is like, what did they say? What did they say about me? And that's why so far it works.
Yeah. And so when did Joya first get her own accounts?
You know, they can get them really when we started doing it.
Okay.
Is when she became interested. And then now, I mean, I don't do the Snap, but the kids do the Snapchat. And that's a whole set of rules that I still don't like. I know TikTok, I know Instagram,
Yeah.
We do Facebook, we do YouTube, but Snapchat, I don't even get it. I mean, they snap pictures over their shoulders or a black screen or a 1/4 of your face, and it all kind of means something. I don't know. I sound really old right now, but
no, I don't fucking know.
It's weird.
I have no fucking clue. I thought Snapchat was dead.
Oh no, that is like, that's how the middle school, high school, that's how they communicate. Like, not even with text, it's with Snap.
Oh God. Well, luckily we're not there yet.
No,
I don't even have a kid that reads.
Yeah.
We're great. We're golden for the moment. So you've got this project with Maisie. Joya's on her own journey, 14.
Yeah.
That is such an age.
It is.
And, you know, there's this stereotype. I'm not huge into like gender stereotypes, boy energy, #boy mom. Like all of that stuff doesn't really appeal to my sensibilities. But there is this thing that people say that like, oh, boys are harder when they're younger and then girls are harder when they hit a certain hormonal
emotionally
emotional
harder.
age.
Yeah.
And there's this thing that there's this transition of parenting where in the beginning it's viscerally challenging, you're sleep
Right.
deprived, yada yada. And then it becomes this new kind of
It is
parenting.
true. I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. That you never, I don't think you're ever going to stop feeling this, I don't know, worry, concern, occupation in your head, being occupied with what's going on in their lives. Like Joya right now, transition, is having some friend drama. And like, I think about that just as much as I did about the stuff when she was a baby. Like, it doesn't go away. It just changes.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's easier in your day-to-day life, in your time, and they're they're in their room and getting themselves dressed, getting themselves dinner, getting, all that is so much easier. But mentally, now I'm worried about her future. I'm worried about, are we preparing her to get it accepted into college? It's very competitive these days. It's crazy.
Very crazy.
And so it's just different. It's just different concerns. And there is a lot of, in my view of it, some teen girls go really like aloof and silent and outbursts. Joya more just got like emotional and teary and more attached.
Yeah.
So I know everything that's going on in her life.
That's
no
wonderful.
Secrets.
I would take that over the other one.
So we're very close, but also then I feel responsible, like to fix everything, and that's hard.
Which you can't do.
I can't. I have to let her
experience things.
Yes, and it's hard. That's just as hard.
That's
just as hard.
Really tough.
Yeah.
We have to talk about something important.
Yeah.
Halloween at your house. Because this is also changes with age, right? How kids, I'm thinking about how I celebrated Halloween when I was 10 versus how I was 14.
Right.
And like going around the neighborhood by yourself, and you got to find the houses with the good candy that do the big bars. And
right.
Like, there's a whole thing.
Which there are some of those in this
There are some.
I
there's one that I'll remember, and I'll never take my son there because he is 4, and like I just can't do that type of sugar overload. How did this... Like, have you always loved Halloween? How did this thing happen at your house that you became such a mecca for Halloween for the neighborhood?
Yes, I built a huge haunted house in my front yard, and we do this big haunted circus. It didn't always start as a haunted circus, but now I've purchased so many things that I don't change the theme every year. We did a zombie drive-in and diner one year, which was so cool. It started little. I had this house here, and it was a good trick-or-treating neighborhood, and I bought some decorations and bought a bunch of the skeletons and decided to pose them in different poses. That was the first year. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And then I just kept going from there and building it bigger. I had a kids craft show for 5 years. Like, I can make anything out of a pool noodle. Like, so this was already part of what I did and who I was. And honestly, it just like... People, it's the best. It's so much work. We work a whole month. Our whole family, our friends, everyone comes and spends hours. It's just become a community thing. We build it together. And then just how appreciative people are. We get like, last year I estimated we probably had 1,000 people through.
Wow.
Over 3 days. And people just are so appreciative that it brings a lot of joy. It's just fun. Halloween, I feel like, is something with less, I guess there's baggage attached for certain religions and stuff, but in general, in the community, it's just something we can all celebrate.
Yeah.
Like, kids, it's great for kids, it's fun for adults, and then once you start, it's just hard to stop. And now we've gone insane. And like the fact that I found someone that was going to be willing to do this with me. And we've gotten into like pneumatic props that, with the air that they jump out at you. And then once you just go down these, never do it unless you want to do it forever.
Yeah.
I have a basement, which is rare in LA.
Oh, wow.
And it is just packed with like 11 mannequins and clowns. And it's
creepy as fuck.
So
I'm never going to your basement.
Creepy. I hope if anyone breaks into my house that they first go to the basement and then they are scarred for life.
Now, is this cool for Joya, like with her friends? Because she's at an age where like people are making calls on what's cool and what's not cool.
Right.
Is it cool that she's the Halloween house or not?
It
cool?
is, because
She's not like, Mom, cut that shit out.
no way.
Okay.
Because it is, because I have to say it's cool. Like teenagers love it. The haunted house is legit scary.
No,
I mean,
you.
people jump out at you, things jump out at you. Yeah, so because of that, like, you know, even middle school, which middle schoolers are, I think, the worst humans on the planet, in terms of how they act and all the things they're trying out in terms of personalities. And we did an event for her middle school to raise money for the 3 years she was there. And those kids never vandalized anything, never, you know, tried to hurt anything, just came in, loved it, were so excited, so happy. And those are middle schoolers.
So you're not a regular mom. You're a cool mom.
I'm such a cool mom. I do think I'm a cool mom. I got to be honest.
I think you're a pretty cool mom.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying. If this isn't a cool mom, then I don't know what else I could do.
And that's the thing is like, you can be a cool mom and you're still not trying to be your kids' friends, right?
Right.
That's the distinction. Is like you can be a fun, cool mom, but you're still somebody's mom. You're not their best friend.
Right.
Right?
We still need to.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I was actually talking to my kids about it last night. We both were, because they're good kids in terms of behavior, but I said I can be easy, relaxed parent as long as you allow me to be. But it's all based on you.
Yeah.
You know, I will be easy breezy and cool and we're friends until you give me
a reason not to be.
And then I'm slapping that shit down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm slapping that shit down.
Do not cross me.
No, that's a good way of putting it. We had somebody on whose kids are now much older, but she was saying that she never gave her kids a curfew until they fucked up. Like, I mean, when they were in high school, like, they didn't get a curfew until they fucked up, basically.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, they did fuck up.
Yeah.
But until then, and then when they got the curfew, they were like, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you put in the amount of control necessary to keep them growing and happy and healthy and on the right path as much as you can. But like I say, parenting, it's like the nail file with the gentle shaping. Like that's all you can do. Like there is a person that person they come out of you as that person, you know? And so there's a little shaping you can do, but I don't think we can totally change their personality. I think they come out who they are.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think too, I don't know how your parenting was, but I feel like as a parent, I'm way more involved in my kids' lives than, I mean, I remember like my parents, did they go to school maybe once a year? Like maybe the like holiday concert or something. They definitely never talked to my teachers. They didn't really know my friends' parents. I just don't recall them. They were good parents, but it was just a different kind of parenting back then. I went to the school of my
that was there
neighborhood school that I was supposed to go to. And it's so much more pressure, especially here. I don't know that that's countrywide. I think big cities, it's a little more prevalent. My sister back in Wisconsin, she's like, nope, we're not like that.
No, because I wonder sometimes if the consumption of social media content around parenting is leveling the stress playing field where everybody is being brought up to a similar level. Like, I wonder, for instance, like if it's not, maybe people worry about different things, but there are some people who like really give a shit what their kids' lunches look like.
Right.
Or like, you know, some of it's what drives you. What are your interests? Like, I really want to raise sort of socially conscious, kind children.
Right.
That is sort of my guiding light. Who can be emotionally resilient and find happiness. That's sort of what I'm hoping for them. But some people don't necessarily get that deep or don't necessarily feel, and you know, everybody teach their own. Some people are just trying to help their kids survive.
Right.
Which is also totally valid. But then some people are like, I want my kids to have a perfectly curated lunchbox and perfectly curated outfits.
And all natural and all. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure of that. There was a lot of pressure back when I was pregnant to not do an epidural.
Right. Like, I will never understand that. I mean, if that is
I know.
you,
Now I want to say to every pregnant woman, like,
get the drugs.
seriously, like, science has developed ways that we don't have to feel that. No one's going out and getting teeth pulled without Novocaine.
Right.
Then why are you going to do something so much more intense without taking the medication that's been made available to you? And if you want to, great. I thought I wanted to until I felt it. And then it was not great.
It's not great.
And I had the whole rom-com scene where, like, I told Ryan before,
Get
like,
me the epidural.
exactly, where I'm like, now when I might be going through stuff, I just want you to remind me of my plan. I just want you to remind me that I'm doing this naturally. My body is capable. And then I was like, I want the epidural. He's like, honey. I'm like, God, shut up. Yeah, like, exactly. Like, and then I was way happier. I enjoyed the experience way more.
And by the way, you still fucked up your body like crazy.
Yes.
Like,
And by the way, like, those drugs, you know, they go out of the body fairly quickly. They're not like, why would I ever not?
Did you ever read this book, Bringing Up Bebe? Have you heard of it?
I'm not sure.
It's basically about, like, the French approach to parenting. And it's an American living in Paris who's sort of contrasting the two parenting approaches. And one of my biggest takeaways from that book was, there are several, but one of them was that in France, there literally isn't the phrase, like, natural birth like we have here. It is, you have either birth or birth sans epidural. Meaning the default is everybody's getting a fucking epidural.
Yes.
And so it's like, it's an opt-out rather than an opt-in.
See, that's how it should be.
I really appreciated that because I lived in the UK for a very long time and there is like a glorification of natural birth there.
Yeah.
That, you know, whatever, if it works for you, great. Like, a lot of people, that's their journey and I'm happy for you. But there's also a lot of misconception about epidural birth. Like, people were like, well, you won't be able to walk. And it's like, no, I gave birth and then I stood up and peed. Like, and within an hour, like, I walked myself to the bassinet and changed my child's diaper within an hour. Like,
yeah. And you didn't fail. You got an like, there was such a thing like, oh, I didn't do it. I failed.
Right.
It's like, no, you didn't.
Similar sort of stories around breastfeeding. It's just like, everybody needs to give themselves a fucking break.
Yes.
It's hard enough as it is just trying to do the basics and, like, show your kids you love them every day and try your best to set a good example. Like, don't worry about the small stuff, because it is small.
And my daughter loves to, she's like, I'm mom, talking about her childhood. No one knew where we were. We rode the bikes out and then, like, we drank out of the hose and we did this and that. But it is true. I mean, no one even ever talked to me about sugar. Like, sugar cereals, Twinkies in my lunch, as much TV as I wanted. There was no, I don't know. There didn't seem to be this pressure. And we did make it out okay, although we're not doing Twinkies in the lunch. And
you know what I was thinking about, and we will not go on a crazy tangent on this, but I was thinking about that exact point the other day, because on the food thing, like, unfortunately, the food system here has changed so much from when we were growing up that the basics, like, you could give a kid a Twinkie because the chemicals and shit in the Twinkie weren't as bad as the shit they're putting in processed foods now.
I do agree. I've always been like, I let my girls have treats. I'm like, if we're going to go have a treat, let's go to the bakery and get the best cupcake or the best cookie or the good ice cream. Like, let's just go get the real thing versus...
So it does require an additional level of vigilance that our parents didn't necessarily know to have or need to have because, like, there was just less shit in food.
And it's bad.
It is bad.
I mean, I notice if Maisie eats a lot of Red Dye 40, that she starts getting ticks.
Interesting. That is so fucked.
So messed up. And it's not, they don't put it in food in Europe.
Yeah.
Like, and it took me a while and it kept happening. And then it would get worse, and then it would go away, and it would get worse.
Like, what kind of tick would it be? Like a verbal tick?
A facial tick.
A facial tick.
And I took her to Children's Hospital. I thought she was having a stroke. I didn't even know what was going on. It looked bad. And they had said, like, after the pandemic, there was an uptick in tics and stress and stuff. And okay, that's fine. Like, I buy that. But then I started noticing we would go to the movies. She would get a red icy, and it would pump up the volume on it every time. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's just not do that. And it's been a lot better. So I don't have like concrete proof, but I have anecdotal.
I'll look up. I'm an evidence junkie, so I'm going to look it up after this in the medical journals.
And that's what I saw. I saw that there is a correlation. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just try taking that out because you don't need that crap anyway.
Horrifying. Yeah. Oh, my God. Well, I mean, somehow we're ending on Red Dye 40.
Yes.
We've had such a journey today. I'm so excited to see what projects are coming. And I am having a great time with Maisie, so I'm all in. I'm not going to start watching Blippi, but Maisie I'm down for.
Awesome. Maisie Facts is our
Facts.
YouTube channel.
I'm going to put everything in the show notes so people know how to follow.
Cool.
And get involved. And I'm so happy you're my neighbor.
Yes,
this is so cool.
This was so exciting to learn.
I know. What a fun fact for me. Thank you for being in the closet.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another chat in the closet. In the meantime, follow along on Instagram at mutha.life for our regular recipes, rants, and riots. This podcast was produced by Mother Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.